Okay, we're back on the road, 8 unbeaten. Is it just a case of asking your players to keep doing what they're doing?
It sure is, Dan, yeah. We've just got to keep level-headed, keep going about our business the right way. We are back on the road tomorrow after training and going to a tough place in Rochdale, which is not easy to go. I know they've had indifferent results of late, but you've seen what they've done to us here. They've definitely got some qualities, so we've got to make sure we're aware of that. But as I always say, it's about what we do, and if we focus on ourselves and a bit on them, then hopefully we'll be okay. You
talk about it a lot, don't you, about that kind of having to be on your mettle at this level, because the gap between the teams can be so small that games like that can happen against Rochdale if you're not on it. Is that kind of the message to the players?
Well, it will be. It'll be about what we do. We'll look back of what happened last time and make sure that doesn't happen again. And I think the goals, we can see there was a few mistakes in there which we want to eliminate, and we have done of late. But in terms of the opposition, you can't just disrespect any opposition, because anything can happen. You've seen top of the league getting beaten by teams down the bottom end of the league, and mid-table teams beaten. So the league is very indifferent this season, and anyone can beat anyone. Our main focus will be Rochdale, but it'll be what we do. And we can't get carried away. Yeah, we are in decent form, and we are, collecting a lot of points in this year up to now. But we want that to continue, Dan. We don't want to just fall and go, okay, we're 8 unbeaten. We want to continue that as much as we possibly can. And Saturday's another opportunity for us to do that.
We've not had a midweek game this week for the first time in a little while, and then I think there's 3 or 4 upcoming. So has it been a vital opportunity to get some recovery in?
It has, yeah, definitely, and we've give 1 or 2 of that. It was 4 or 5 of them who played a lot of minutes. We give them an extra few days, but they've been in, done all the recovery stuff, and they continue to train today and tomorrow. But we feel we've got a little bit of freshness back in the group as well, and the lads who hadn't been playing have ramped it up a little bit. The sessions have been ramped up for them, and they've worked the socks off. And that's only because we might need them eventually. We always need the squad, but we might need them over the next 2 weeks in terms of they could just find themselves in playing from the start, and we've got to make sure they're ready. And I always say to them, it's not a punishment. It's a case of you being ready for if called upon, and we've certainly done that. So hopefully the group are nice and fresh today and tomorrow, and then, as I say, we'll take our long journey up the road again.
Getting used to them now. We've played 28 games. A few clubs in the league have only played 25. We've done really, really well to get through as many games as we have, haven't we? Do you see that as an advantage? Because they're stacking up already, aren't they, those games?
What an advantage that we've played
that
more.
We've gotten through them. Yeah.
I'm just happy that we have got through them, and we've had no games called off. I think there was only one, the Ashton, and that was down to them, weren't it? Because they had the COVID situation. So in terms of us, mate, we're just pleased that we kept going and kept playing games, because what I didn't want to happen is, and there's probably talk of it may happen and now, is playing Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I don't ever want to be in that position. That's a tough ride. So fair play. We've got all our games on. Yeah, there is teams with games to catch up, but you've got to win them games. There's no guarantees in them games. We've just got to make sure we worry about ourselves and them. And if we continue to play the games, then we'll probably finish earlier than everyone else, won't we?
There's a few League One games this week, obviously, with teams catching up and so on. Does it give you an opportunity to pay much attention to those games, or do you try and stay focused on what we're doing?
No, so we watched them. I watched a couple of games. I watched a bit of Blackpool, Rochdale yesterday, or Tuesday. Neil went to Wigan against Hull on Tuesday. So we get the games in as much as we possibly can. You can't go to all the games now, because you can only go to games that if you're playing them in the next 3 games. So we've got Wigan coming along, so Neil was in there. I watched Rochdale, Blackpool. In fact, Neil went to Blackpool, Rochdale as well, and I watched it on the telly. So yeah, it was all, what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that you take any games. I was watching Sunderland and Lincoln last night on Sky and the Papa John's. So as much games as you can take in, the better, and you get a little bit of insight to them. So yeah, it certainly will be, the games that are Tuesdays when we're not playing, we'll make sure we keep an eye on them.
You just mentioned Neil there. I did an interview with Neil yesterday, and he mentioned that he'd set up a meeting with you and England manager Gareth Southgate. What an amazing experience that must have been.
Yeah, it was amazing, mate. It was surreal, to be honest. I've met Gareth a few times. I don't like as if I'm brabbing here about these people, but yeah, look, I've met him a few times, and he's always been fair to me and spoke to me. Him and Steve Holland, who was my manager at Crewe, and then obviously I'd seen him at a few games, especially Liverpool games, and he chatted and said we're doing well. And then I seen him when I was on my pro licence, and then Neil said, look, I've set up a meeting, and I was like, really? He was like, yeah. So we had about an hour and 20 minutes with him, and he was fantastic. He's He's a top man. He's obviously a good manager. He's got his different ways, and the reason for it was Neil had set it up just about leadership, and there's a few things I won't really say that I've sort of looked at, and I feel as if I always give a bit more than I get back, and that's not from the football club, just from other people in general. And I asked him about it, and he went, no, just continue to do the same, don't change. That's why people like you and people respect you and you're doing your job. And so there was a lot of that going on, and there was a bit about tactical stuff and in his press, and he prepares himself for a press conference like he's preparing for a match, because he's the national manager and he has to be careful. Everything he says is scrutinised in it, and it's printed. So there was a lot of good stuff, but also a laugh and a joke on there as well, how we play, what we do, and he was fantastic, mate. So I really appreciated it. I think we're going to try and get him to a game eventually, not to watch many of our players, but just to come down and experience it. He keeps an eye on us, him and Steve Holland, because we had a chat with Steve as well. So it was good and it was special. It was a good moment, and there's a lot of stuff I took out of it, which I'll keep private, because obviously it was good stuff between me and him. But just a fantastic thing to do. There's not a lot of managers up and down, especially League One managers, that can call on Gareth Southgate if you needed a bit of a tip and advice, and for him to take time out for me for an hour and 20 minutes to discuss a few situations was fantastic.
I must underline, it underlines obviously what a great network of contacts you and the coaching team here have got, which is brilliant news for Argyle. And also I guess what you're saying there, and Neil said the same thing to me, was that it underlines that if the England manager thinks that your approach is the right one, you can't get a better reference than that, really, can you?
No, I've got to be careful, because I don't want to be everyone saying, but and look, Gareth's a nice down to earth bloke, and what you see in on the sidelines and inside him's a bit different, and then what you see how he does his press and everything else, and he's just straight down the line, isn't he? He's very good, but it is good acknowledgement from him to us of what we're doing and how we do it, and he looks out for the scores. I remember him texting Neil, it was last season, about one of the games, might have been the Salford game. He texted after the game and said I should have come to Salford instead of wherever, and Neil was like, yeah you should have, and he said so he looks out for us, which is good. So the England manager, wow, he's looking out for Plymouth Argyle, which is, I think that's a first, isn't it? But no, we respect him for that, and we appreciate his time with us, and I think if we ever needed, it's just a shame we can't go to the games and stuff and watch the training, but I'm sure in years to come we keep our relationship. I'm going to send him a nice special bottle of wine, so hopefully we can keep that bond and that relationship going forward, and I can pick his brains as much as I possibly can.
On to Rochdale then. The squad looks to be, as far as I can see, in really good shape, considering what we've had to contend with this season. You must be pretty pleased with the lack of injuries and fitness availability that we've managed to have so far. Yeah,
well, the injuries, obviously the injuries are going to be there, aren't they, all the way through the season, but I think we've done okay with them. There's only George now who's long term, which we know. In terms of the physio department, with Dave and John and Abs and Elliot have been different class, so a lot of credit has to go to them, really. I think they work with the lads, do the right things, they make sure the scans are right and everything on time, the reading of the scans, which can delay a lot of stuff, and they're being fantastic with it. So credit to Dave and the boys for giving us a fully fit squad, really. We do have precaution measures as well, like if someone's a little bit fatigued or a little bit niggly, we'll keep them out, and Dave will say no good for Saturday or Tuesday, whatever it is, and I have to listen to him because he's relatively a lot more experienced than I'll ever be in the physio department. So and I think it's the training load as well with John, because we have to make sure that when John's telling us that that's right and that's done, and the lads need to move on and they need a recovery day on that day, and we have to listen, because if you don't, you will have a load of injuries. But fortunately for us, we've listened and we have had a clean bill of health, and we've got a fully fit squad to travel to Rochdale.
And the decisions that you obviously get paid to make are quite tricky at the moment, aren't they? You've got depth of form and confidence pretty much throughout the squad in all areas.
Yeah, and as I said before about the lads having catch-up groups and training sessions and more minutes and more runs and more sprints and short doggies and whatever else, is because we're going to need the boys. It's not just the 11 or 12, 13 that's coming on the pitch, it's all of them. We need to make sure that we keep the squad relatively fresh, and the fitness levels of the boys. So yeah, it is a bit of an headache for me, because the lads behind the group who are playing are really pushing them on, and you can see that in their performances. No one wants to have a day off because they know that someone in the back line, one of the other players, is ready to jump in their spot if they have a bad game. So that's what I want, competition for places. And yeah, they're the tough decisions you have to make, and they are tough decisions because you don't want to leave someone out who's done okay, and if you're making that change for the for rationale, then it's no good. But if you're making a change for tactical and for the purpose of the team, then it's always good. So yeah, as you say, that's what I get paid for, and I'll have to continue to do that.
Well, we wish you well with that, and good luck Saturday.
Cheers, mate. Thanks very much.